I want to show you how I made this Chinese dunce cap succulent. It comes in 4 different sizes: 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, and 5-inch. And the one that I'm making here is a 3-inch succulent. And it has 3 different layers to it, and I'm going to show you how to shape each layer. The bottom layer is made of these 2 pieces. The middle layer that sticks up a bit is made of the next 2 layers. And the ball on top is made of these 4 layers. I color these succulents with Pan Pastel Raw Umber Tint and their Soft Tools applicator. They work much better than makeup sponges. I apply a simple layer of color on the leaves, and I don't apply color to the top layer until I have made the ball. And to apply it, you just tap the sponge onto the Pan Pastel and just kind of apply an even coat over the petal. And it doesn't have to be real even, but it gives the nice powdery look like a succulent. And these usually just kind of have this color to them. You can also see them in pink, so you could make this in pink as well. The first thing I like to do is shape the ball that is the very top layer, and it's made out of 4 of these layers. And I like to get that shaped and glued and set aside to dry, and then I'll go on and shape the rest of it. The first 2 that go in the very center we want to shape very tightly, and we shape them using this pink plastic circle mold and the metal ball tool. What you want to do is look for where it can easily fit into the mold without having to force it too much. And so the first one that will work is this 25mm opening. And you do want to have a shaping mat behind it, and you use the metal ball tool. So you put it right up to the rim of the opening and then kind of press it down and just apply some fairly light pressure to start and a little firmer once it starts to take shape, and then move it down to the smaller opening and press it firmly on the entire surface. And then for the very 2 center ones, I'm going to take it even one, and it's going to be really tight, but I want it to be a really tight ball in the very center. So I will do that with these first 2 layers. The second 2 layers I'll only shape in the first and the second opening. We've shaped this into little cups. This is one of the really tightly shaped ones that goes in the very center, and then the next layer is not quite as tightly shaped. It's just a little more open. And this is the fun part when you turn them into little balls. I take the small metal ball tool and I'm going to apply pressure in a line from the base of the petal toward the center. And I usually do it on kind of both sides, and it just draws that right up. And then I give it a little swirly in the middle. And it turns it into this little ball. It just forms the shape of this little ball. And do the same thing with each one. Just align from the base of the petal toward the center and a little swirly. I have my 4 layers shaped. These are the 2 tightest ones, and these are the 2 that are a little more open. And I'm going to assemble them on my DIY paper flower tool. It is just a square of corrugated cardboard with a plain piece of floral wire that's glued in at a right angle. And I also, after using these for a long time, learned that putting some either wax paper, or I always have label backing on it, and that helps to extend the life of it because of glue that accumulates on them. So what I will do is I'm first going to do the 2 tightest ones together, and then I'm going to pull them off and do the second 2. So there's a little bit of a procedure to assembling this. So I will first put on one of the tightest balls, and then it's good to have a fine tipped glue. Either the art glitter glue dries clear with the fine metal tip, or Barely Arts also has one. And this is safe to ship in freezing temperatures. This is not safe to ship in freezing temperatures. When I use glue with a needle in it, I always just stab the needle into my shaping mat, and that way I don't lose them. We want to apply glue just around the circle that goes around the wire that goes up through the middle. And then I'm going to put the next layer on. And you want to offset the layer of petals so that they sit between the 2 petals from the previous layer. Apply glue where the 2 petals in the innermost layer meet, and then a little glue on the outside of each of them as well. And we're going to apply glue at each of these points before we squeeze it together. So you make sure you get it where the 2 sides come together, and also on the outside of them. And then you just give the whole thing a nice hug, and it squeezes together. And if you hold it in place, depending on the kind of glue you use, about 5 to 10 seconds, it should hold well. And if not, sometimes the glue isn't where it will catch. And if not, just open it up and add the glue that you need so that it will hold in place. When you're sure that it's set, go ahead and remove it from the tool, and then we will assemble the next 2 layers. Apply glue in a circle around the wire just like we did before, and place the next layer on top of it, offsetting the petals, and then apply pressure where the 2 layers meet so that you know they are stuck in place. And as soon as you do that, we can apply more glue so that we can put the very center inside. So you open it up and again apply glue in a circle around the wire. And I also come up the sides just a little bit. I don't come all the way up because I don't want it to stay in a really tight ball. I want the top parts of those outer petals to be able to come away from the center a little bit, but I don't want them to come way off. So I just apply glue up the sides a bit and give it a squeeze, and adjust, add more glue if needed, or even pull it away if you think maybe it's holding too tight. It's time to shape the bottom layer. If you have colored the leaves, you're going to want to place them colored side down, and I placed them on a piece of paper towel to keep the color from transferring to my shaping mat. And I use a large metal ball tool and apply firm pressure in a circular motion. And we're just slightly rounding the surface so that it looks like a plump succulent leaf and not a flat piece of paper. We'll do the same thing to the middle layer of leaves. The bottom layer is supposed to curve downward, so we can just leave it as it is. But the middle layer needs to tip up. You can see from the side view how the middle part kind of tips up. Even though the leaves are shaped to curve down, we want them to lift up off of the rest of the plant. The way that I do that is to just do a little bend right where, if you follow the circle all the way around, just where that circle would continue, just pinch it right there with your fingernail if you have one, and just bend it upward. And do that with both layers, and that is the only shaping that we need to do in addition to the initial rounding of each leaf. We can begin to assemble the bottom layers. Just add a circle of glue around the wire, put the second layer on, offsetting the petals, and apply pressure where the glue meets until it has a good hold. And then apply another circle of glue and start the first layer of your middle section. And again, offsetting the layers so that your leaf goes between two previous leaves. And another circle of glue and your second middle layer. Next, I'll add some pan pastel to the outside of the ball that goes on top. You can just hit the outside of the ball, the parts that show, and even just across the tips of the very top, and smooth out any areas that you need to with your finger or with the applicator, and it's good to go. Now it's time to glue the ball in place on the very top, and you want to put a circle of glue around the wire, and you do want it to be a pretty generous amount of glue because you want to be sure that it holds that whole structure very securely. So you just press it in place and make sure it is firmly attached before you remove it from the paper flower tool, and you have a complete Chinese dunce cap succulent. You can attach wire to the back of it if you need to. It just depends on what you're wanting to do with it. When it's dry, you can pull the bottom leaves down a little further if you want, just depending on how much shape you want to add to it. And there you have it.